you've got to be like the best of the best with that Glock. They're another level.
Also, Kyle, can I ask you, if there's a hole, if they miss and there's a hole in the plane, does that pick everything up?
Nah, we'll be all right. No, there's not enough pressure. It's even in space. Even in space, if that happened, we'd be all right. So that's a science fiction thing. What you got to think.
That's a movie thing?
Yeah, because what you got to keep in mind is
I'll go
the
second.
atmospheric pressure is only like 13 or 14 PSI where we are in a cabin. Here on Earth, we're under 13 or 16. It's somewhere in there. It's in the low teens of PSI. Same thing if we're in a space capsule or an airplane. So punching a hole in it just means there's now it's like if you had a tire with 16 PSI in it and you put a hole in it, it'd go psss, and you could put your finger right over that shit. Nothing will happen. Even in space. In space, you could put your finger over that shit.
There was a hole in the International Space Station. It took them a few days to find it. And they didn't really pin it down on anyone, but it seemed like someone operated a drill and accidentally poked the side of the space station.
No shit.
Yeah. This is like 4 years ago, something like that.
You think it'd be a micro meteorite or something, some little piece of shit the size of a grain of salt moving at 20,000 kph or something.
That's a good theory too. I only know what I read.
Yeah. But yeah, I that's one of the things that annoys me in movies. There's a scene in Alien 4 where she flicks some acid on the window and she sucks the big alien out. Like its back sticks to the hole in the wall and it sort of disembowels it from the inside. Vacuums it out.
I have an update. So Russia is suing NASA for that hole. It was 1/16 of an inch, 2 millimeters, and they think it was a NASA guy who accidentally made that hole.
Dude,
okay.
Well, it was someone up there.
What forensic experts they are to pin down what hit their space station in space and figure out it was an American.
If you make that hole, that's one of those ones where you look around and you're like, you probably just sneak. You're not telling anybody, hey, I made a hole in the show.
Right. Put a piece of tape on it and hope someone else discovers it and they don't know.
Like, all right, I'm only up here for another 11 months. Maybe maybe I can make it home in time.
It could have been anyone.
Yeah, it could have been anyone. I guess I imagined a lot more cameras running at all times in the space station.
That they would put a hole in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They fixed it with a piece of tape for a while.
Did one of the Americans cop to it? Or were they just like,
cop to what?
No, to making the hole. Like, is that why?
Wait. I misunderstood. I thought that they were on a different space station and they were saying one of our astronauts dropped a nickel and it hit their shit. And you're saying that we were all in the International Space Station together and somebody drilled a fucking hole hanging their poster and it was the American.
Yes, that's what they're saying.
All right, I believe that.
Like,
that seems more realistic.
Yeah. Josh, I know you. Josh, I know it was short, and I know you got a show. Thanks for popping by. We'll have to do a longer one soon.
I would love to come back on. I'm in Philly next week, in Austin the week after.
Okay.
And so,
all right. We'll get your. I'm in St. Louis. Kyle's in Atlanta, and Woody is in North Carolina.
Raleigh.
Oh, there you go. Well, Philly and Austin, that's not close to any of you guys.
Nope.
No, it is not. I will not see you there. But if you're in those cities, check out Josh's links below and go see him. Go tell him we say hi.
Guys, let's do it again soon. I appreciate you very much.
Yeah, of course. Have a good show, man. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Later. Okay.
Yeah, Kyle, I was wondering why you were
taking just close the browser tab.
I was wondering why you're taking such umbrage with the idea that someone on the International Space Station would make a mistake and cause that.
Yeah, I thought they were suggesting that like some space junk that America caused had randomly hit their shit, but because that would be ridiculous to say.
Or maybe fucking Igor up there caused it, and they're like, we got to get out in front of this. Unless, Woody, you read an article. Did someone confess to it? Did they fess up?
I didn't see that. But they thought it was a NASA guy. I don't know. I picture somebody new to this space station hanging posters like every college freshman
with a power drill.
It's just a picture of like an almost nude woman.
Or if it's a girl, a cat that says "hang in there."
Yeah, hang in there. That is such a classic poster. Man, if that's up, I hope. What am I even saying? It's a bunch of nerds up there. It's probably like Harry Potter shit.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're nerds.
Lord of the Rings, like, maybe.
Cool people don't.
It depends who you're talking about. So the guys who are
cool people don't become astronauts.
Well, a lot of them that are doing the flying and like the actual astronaut shit are Air Force. They're like fighter pilots and shit, right? Test pilots and stuff
but
like
the
that.
Air Force also is bullied by the other military.
Somebody's got to
arms.
fly that rocket ship, you know?
I don't know. I'm making this up, but I thought that like in the old days, you know, like when they were landing on the moon, it was absolute jocks who were up there just in case we had to get into a fist fight with a space lizard. But nowadays, it's like engineers and botanists and stuff. But I'm not sure I'm right.
They definitely send engineers and botanists up there, but I think of the guys who are like the NASA astronauts who are the ones who take you up there as like Air Force badasses.
I wonder if there's an easier way to get on there. Like if it's known. Here, a quick parallel. I was a swimmer. I swam butterfly stroke, and I was pretty good at it, but it helped that nobody wants to swim butterfly. It is by far the hardest stroke, and therefore every practice you're absolutely getting your ass kicked. It's difficult. If you go less than like 85%, you can't even breathe. Every other stroke can be done slowly, but not butterfly. So it's like there are fucking no female butterflyers. If you're a female butterfly, you might be world class because you're willing to fucking do it. Is it like nobody wants to be a botanist in space? Is there an easier route, a less competitive avenue into space?
I think
everyone wants to be
would be
pilot.
saving up to $20 million.
There's definitely a tier to it. Like, yeah, like the engineer who's in charge of fixing shit on the space station that keeps it flying around with all that magic. Like, that's the fucking guy. That's the engineer. Whereas like a botanist, there could be 100 brilliant botanists who are just like, yeah, you know what I like about botany is being on a terrestrial world where plants are. That's a big part of it for me. And so they have to take like number 102, send him up to the space station. And then like that also takes a little bit of bravery too, because if shit goes awry as the space station botanist, you know, like you are not a priority. Like you're like, hey, what'd you figure out about plants? Oh, they still don't grow up here, bud? Okay.
I do.
Like
only if you bring here up there with you.
Yeah, we're gonna bring Johnny Kim and his
but they grow into zero gravity.
Back.
That's the important part.
I guess it's this. Well, I think growing in the native soil is important too.
The native soil of like
the moon, Mars, wherever you are.
Oh, they could grow in Martian soil. They just need to add the chemicals to it.
Well, then we're back to it only grows if we bring us here. Like if you bring the Earth with it.
Well, the idea isn't to terraform a planet and grow. I think they're doing that for a lot of reasons. You know, the idea of having a sustainable space station or like a long-term colony ship. They just wanted to know if shit would work up there. You know, you ever see where they have the spiders up there, how they do their webs differently?
No, but that's interesting. Zach, can you show me a picture of a space spider web?
They have a spider guy up there?
Right, that's the easiest way to get up there. One arachnid expert.
That's absolutely the easiest way. Yeah, that's just some congressman's nephew who's just like, I want to learn how spiders do webs in space. And he's like, man, I can't even imagine an application for this. Send it up. You mean we're gonna bring spiders to the new world? What are we doing?
Okay, so the right one's Earth and the left one's confusing.
Good thing they didn't take it with a good camera.
Right.
Yeah. Man, what year was this taken? The 50s?
Right? You can put a man on the moon, but you can't take a picture of a spider.
Struggling with these photos, but in any case, the webs were different. I think he's having a hard time. I think the one on the left's all a jumble, and the one on the right looks like
probably nauseous.
Basically a normal. Yeah,
spider on the left is a lot bigger.
Yeah, it seems like they're having a hard time doing webbing on the left there. It just looks like a mess.
Well, imagine how much money that cost.
I mean, not much. You just had to get the spider up there.
Yeah, spiders are free, dude. You don't have to pay for them.
I guess that's true. I guess that's the one cost effect. That's how he like sold it. He's like, you know, a spider weighs a tenth of a gram, and I got him on me right now. Like, I got a pile of spiders in my pocket.
I got one in my armpit.
Then all the other astronauts are like, do not send the vial of spiders guy up here with us. We're trying to learn about asteroids and mining. And this guy's goofing around with bugs. If we do terraform Mars, I don't see a reason to bring spiders. Because we're not going to bring the bugs that we need spiders here to eat. Like, you're not going to bring locusts.
They do seem like a low priority, right?
I think we'll leave the spiders at home.
Yeah, leave the spiders.
We'll bring the bugs. We'll bring the bees.
We'll bring some bees.
Take to terraform? It seems like if you could just get something to grow and die, then another thing could grow in that, and you'd eventually have like oxygen and carbon dioxide. Someone quick figure out terraform. It seemed easy when I read it.
A huge amount of like formerly living matter, right?
Well, you start small.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Mars in particular? Because the plants need to take.
Let's start with the moon. Let's not get bananas here.
I read a sci-fi book where they explained the strategy for the nature of this sci-fi book was that someone put a sphere around Earth so that our time stood still kind of while everything else raced forward. So we wanted to leave Earth and go somewhere where time was normal, and they were going to terraform Mars, and they made it seem like a feasible thing. Like, yeah, just get some algae on there that requires very little except sunlight, and then it grows and dies and grows and dies, and then more complex things can start going. And I understood it when I read it, but I can't explain it. So
it must be more complicated than that then, because otherwise Musk or one of those guys who are obsessed with this would have sent some algae up there, or they probably have, and it just dies.
We don't have any magic algae. That's the thing. They made up a thing that works. Like, all you need is that thing that needs nothing and makes oxygen.
Yeah, well, sci-fi books are pretty terrible when you use realism, and it's like, it's an uninhabitable wasteland. I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Zach. Like part of it is the thing's core stops spinning, or it doesn't have a core or whatever, an iron one, so it doesn't have a magnetosphere. So it's a radiation land, and that might. Sure, you might be able to go on the surface and do your thing, be there for 6 months, and you might not get cancer, but you've got to get plant life to like live and exist there, and like ecosystems to exist there in the radioactive wasteland of Mars that's getting scorched by all those solar rays that aren't deflected because, again, they don't have any sort of magnetosphere bouncing it off. You ever see the magnetic field of the Earth and how you can see how it's just a big protective field bubble that we're wrapped in that keeps us from dying from any moon, number of space things.
Well, do any of the other planets that are nice looking have that? Venus, maybe?
Nice looking? Yeah. Venus, lead melts on the surface of Venus. The Soviets rather, sent landers there in the 70s and have pictures from the surface and stuff. They landed on the surface, took photos, and sent them back, readings of all sorts. That's not the place you want to go either.
Okay, well, Mercury is probably very hot.
It's also very tiny. It's just a big ball of metal up there.
Well, then why are we set on Mars?
Because it's the closest thing to what we have.
But you said it doesn't have that.
Nope, sure
core.
Doesn't.
So then it's a little bit dead in the water.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Oh well, that's not fun.
If you're going to live on Mars, the way it would have to work is you would be underground. You would be living underground in a cave system. That's how
what they do in Invincible.
Just being bombarded by radiation from the sun.
No radiation down there. You're underground in a cave system, then you're fine. You could have life there. There's water there. If you went up to that big place where there's a huge frozen ice sheet and went underground and used the water from that ice and the gases from that ice to make your underground ecosystem, growing algae, sure, whatever. Or maybe you bioengineered some sort of plant that makes a lot of oxygen and just grows rapidly in underground conditions powered by your electrical lights, like make the thing that you need to keep you going. But you're never going to be on the surface of Mars with blue skies and fucking.
You're telling me enough people standing on the surface with hairspray can't create a little bit of
it. That's we've got another hole in the ozone actually because of CFCs or whatever they are. We've got that's back again.
Is it?
Yeah. It's over the Arctic, I believe.
How do they know? Where's the hole?
I mean, they can see it. Scientists can. I think it's in the Arctic, as far as I know.
No, nothing's going on up there. It's fine.
All those poor animals, all those poor polar bears that have a hard enough time already.
I think the polar bears are doing solid, right?
No, their habitat's being taken from them. They're sort of devolving into growler bears. They're having to interbreed with the grizzly bears.
No idea I have no idea what direction polar bear populations are going in.
You can imagine though, they're polar bears, and we have a bit of a global warming situation where their habitat has been melting for the last 100 years. So
I thought you told me there was like a bunch of ice up there. There was more than like the 70s or some shit.
I did not tell you that. There's less. There's less than there was in the 1997s and the last
1997s.
Yeah, there's less ice than there was last year. You know what I mean? So like that's the only time I care. Like when I hear about global warming, I think about those poor polar bears up there looking real sad. Because every now and then I'll see a polar bear at the zoo and they just dumped out a big bucket of ice and he just lays in it like, oh, a whiff of home. He just lays on this pile of ice in this hot San Diego fucking field he's in while we gawk at him as he shits in a cage. This apex predator, the biggest land predator in the world, I think. Poor guy laying on a pile of fucking ice. I feel sorry for the zoo animals. I really do.